Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about what the deku had a kaiju quirk. So in the last video deku, well, after a little bit of talking, they were told by Aizawa that they're going to be going to a training camp. After repairing and after Izuku getting a talking from Momo about getting married after high school. They started going to the training camp as everything just like in canon happened again, and they started training as Izuku and Momo started going at it like rabbits. So yeah, so so let's talk about what happens next. So Izuku and Momo were still sleeping in their tent as well. Aizawa was basically telling everybody to basically get up and start training again. So when they basically all arrived, except for Izuku and Momo, well, Ida said this. Ida said, "Hey, Aizawa, you know that Izuku and Momo were still sleeping, right?" As Aizawa said this, oh, okay. Just, anybody, just try and wake up Izuku and Momo. I don't really care. So he starts going to the counselor's office or whatever it's called. So Bakugo and wait for a sec. Bakugo and Kirishima start going there as they see Izuku and Momo's tent. So they open up the tent as they see Izuku and Momo naked. As Bakugo said this, so they had fun, eh? As Kirishima said this, Bakugo, what are you thinking? As Bakugo said this, don't worry. He starts smiling sadistically. So he actually sneaked. He basically sneaked and basically bought firecrackers. So he gets the firecrackers from his bag and puts them in the tent of Izuku and Momo. So he gets the fuse and turns it on by using its explosions. It the firecrackers was the firecrackers were basically outside. So yeah. So when the firecrackers started blowing up, Izuku wakes up in a furious rage as Izuku said this. Are we under attack? As Momo said this. Don't worry, I got this. As she basically creates a sword while Izuku was still naked with Momo's still naked as well, but Izuku brings out these two gigantic gigantic kaiju claws as everybody sees Izuku and Momo naked. Izuku said this, why you? Who the hell did that? And yes, this is still an 18 plus series, so I'm still allowed to freaking swear. Wait for a second. As Izuku said this, so Bakugo, Kirishima, so you're the ones that annoyed us. As for, for Momo, she said this, yeah, let's have some fun then. So, a few minutes have gone by as both, Kirishima, Bakugo, Momo, and Izuku didn't arrive. So, not Momo, I meant, Mina was told by his other classmates, I meant by her, other classmates to basically try and find them. So, she basically arrives as they see Izuku and Momo basically already ready to go. As she said this, I'm talking about um Mina. As Mina said this, hey Izuku, have you seen Bakugo by any chance or Kirishima? Izuku says this. Oh no, I don't know. As for Momo, she said this. Yeah, we don't really know all that much. I'm guessing they just gone somewhere else, or at least they've forgotten our tent actually existed. As for wait for a second. As Mina said this, I guess that kind of works. So they started going to the to the training area. Well, for Bakugo and Kirishima, up on a tree, basically started screaming as they say, like for Bakugo, he said this, "I'm going to kill you, Izuku, and that damn bitch." So yeah, they were stuck there for like an hour, and when Todoroki finally found them, well, it was basically like past after training. So yeah, so class 1B arrives as most of the girls from class 1B start going towards Izuku. Almost every girl starts flirting with Izuku. So when Momo saw that, she starts becoming a little bit mad. As she said this, "Sorry girls, but I'm actually dating Izuku, so you better get away from him. Got it?" The girls were basically kind of scared except for one, and that girl was Reiko. And I think that name, I kind of forgotten her name. So Reiko said this, "There's no way nothing going to fail. You're nothing more than a rich girl, a brat." She brings she starts teleporting around her. Not really teleporting because she has like this poltergeist quirk. I kind of forgotten the quirk abilities, but I think it was like the ability to basically make objects float. At least I think so. So she starts making the rocks float as she starts kicking them as the rocks start flying towards her. I'm talking about Momo. As Momo starts dodging them, as when one of the rocks is about to hit her in the face, Izuku slices it in half using his saber. That's what he's using right now. His sword. Izuku says this, "There's no way I'm not allowing you to touch her. After all, there's no way I'm not going to marry all of you." As the girls basically start getting afraid. As she said, and I'm talking about Momo. Momo said this, "See, told you. Besides, she pops Izuku's collar as everybody sees the hickey that they gotten from Momo." The girl said this, "Wait, what is that?" As she said this, "I marked Izuku. That is why Izuku has that, hickey." She licks it a little bit. As Izuku said this, "Stop." The girls started getting tons and tons of blushes. Like they started turning like pure red as they started going to training. So yeah, so after that interaction, it's finally time for them to basically do the test of courage thing. Wait for a second. So at the test of courage thing, they started going into the forest. Izuku is basically partnered up with Momo. So Izuku was looking around, including Momo, as both of them are basically just enjoying the whole thing. Until, they smelled smoke. They saw that the sky was, dark. As they see, Nomus. These Nomus were completely different. These Nomus look like, well, instead of like having brains exposed, their hearts are exposed. Izuku said this, "What in the living?" I'm guessing those Nomos are actually upgraded, I guess. As Momo said this, "Yeah, at least I think so." So, she starts creating a bow and arrow. As she said this, "Maybe that heart is maybe their weak spot." Izuku said this, "Yeah, why do these League of Villains guys, don't even think about, to try and hide the goddamn weaknesses of their monsters?" As she said this, "I don't know." So, Izuku starts charging in as Izuku ripped off the chest of the Nomu, exposing the heart. Izuku rips it apart limb from limb. As in limb from limb, I mean flesh from flesh. As the Nomu instantly gets killed. For Momo, she starts using the bow and arrow to basically start shooting at the well heart, which is the weakness of the Nomu. So the Nomu gets well destroyed instantly. As for the rest of the well students, they started taking care of the Nomu problem as well. So Zuko remembers a kid from from the from the camp, which apparently the kid was named Kota. Kota apparently decided to go to the apparently he was mad about about what Izuku said. This is going to be a flashback, by the way. So Izuku said this to the kid. I'm sorry about your parents, but at least at least we're both like orphans, right? Or at least one of us is adopted, and that is you. Izuku remembers that. Izuku starts going there. As Izuku said this to Momo. Momo, try and protect yourself. I will try and find Kota. As Momo said this. Alright, Izuku. So yeah. So Izuku goes into the mountains. Izuku's bloodied. Like he's completely beat. Izuku sees a man that has wearing just a tank top and has blonde and red eyes. It's not Bakugo, but a really muscular man. Izuku recognizes him. His name is Muscular. Izuku says this. So you must be muscular, right? As he says this. So you're the bodyguard of Miss Moyayorozu. Now this is gonna be wait for as Muscular said this. Well, let's have some fun then. As his body starts changing, his body starts getting engulfed in in muscle fibers as he transforms into his own version of his kaiju form, Izuku's kaiju form. As he starts charging in at Izuku transforms into his own kaiju form as Izuku starts spewing out the dark gas or and the napalm type gas that Izuku expews from his mouth. As it starts affecting Muscular a little bit, half of his skin starts corroding a little bit. Izuku says this. It seems that my gas is able to corrode your skin. Then, let's have some fun with that. Izuku starts using his tails to basically ignite the gas as the gas explodes, creating a huge explosion. As as Muscular said this, you little, guess I'll have to kill you then. He starts creating a large drill made out of his own muscle fibers. Izuku just dodges it. Izuku says this. What if I try to use my breath and shove it into your mouth? Well, let's test that out then. Izuku basically opens Muscular's mouth, or at least his kaiju somewhat kaiju form mouth. Izuku basically opens it and starts spewing out the gas. The gas basically starts engulfing Muscular. Because of Muscular being in his own version of Izuku's kaiju form, well he's basically stuck. It's basically like Attack on Titan. And also, by the way, I don't really watch Attack on Titan, so yeah, just tell me if I'm doing it wrong. So he's basically stuck. He's basically stuck in there, just like Eren, and just like in Eren's Titan form. So he can't get out because he has to transform back. If he transfers to be squashed, and because of that, he suffocates and dies. His kaiju body starts corroding. Izuku says this. So Kota, are you okay? As Kota says this. Who are you? Izuku says this. Don't worry, it's the guy. It's just me, Izuku. As he says this. Wait, you're the guy that Izuku says. I'm sorry, kid. Anyway, I'll bring you back to to your aunt. As Izuku starts jumping around like an animal, as Izuku arrived to the to the to the training camp proper, as some of the heroes basically said this. Wait, what happened? Izuku says this. It seems that we're under attack by villains. As wait for a second. One of the heroes, being Aizawa, said this. Wait, what? Izuku says this. Yeah, maybe we should call All Might, as he says this. Obviously, as he starts calling there, as the rest of the villains see All Might, they basically start running away into the portal. Oh yeah, that was that whole training arc. So yeah, so the next thing that happened, well, they basically came back to to the dorms. So wait for a second again. Sorry about that. So Izuku and Momo were basically told by Aizawa that they're gonna be taking down the League of Villains, once and for all, because they're gonna be going to the League of Villains hideout. So after telling that to the rest of the students, they're basically getting ready, including Izuku. Izuku basically harnessing his kaiju form um well even better, because Izuku learned how to do this special technique, which he's able to basically spew out fire from his mouth. And the fire is basically like a weaker version of his napalm breath, and mixed with the abilities of it's basically like this special ability which where he basically spews out the gas and basically ignites it with his tails. It's basically like that. So Izuku's able to spew out a weaker version of that fire, and not only that, Izuku's able to transform his tails into basically like just imagine Iron Tail, the from Pokemon. So yeah, so when it's finally the day, that is where they're gonna be going to to finally take down the League of Villains. They started going into these gigantic airplanes. So Izuku was told by Aizawa that that they're just going to walk there. Izuku says this. Oh come on, why just walk? As Aizawa said this, because you're able to transform into a kaiju. Izuku says this. Oh, right. So Izuku starts transforming as they started going there immediately. Oh, wait for a second. I got some. And sorry about that. So the whole explanation about Mina being Kirishima being there. Well, this is going to be a bit of a backstory. So after going to jail, they were told that they're going to be going back to being heroes if they decide to end their whole phantom thieving careers. Sorry about that. I didn't tell you guys about that whole explanation. I'm really sorry. So yeah, that's the explanation on how Mina and Kirishima are basically back to UA. So yeah. So wait for. So after a 2 hour ride there, they basically arrive at the League of Villains base, which is a gigantic, let's just say it's a Victorian style castle. So yeah, so every heroes in training, and Izuku also sees some people that Izuku met at this internship, which apparently they are heroes, or at least most of them. Most of them are just basically heroes in training. So yeah, so Izuku was basically with wait for a sec. Izuku was with Momo, as Momo said this. Hey Izuku. Izuku says this. What is it, Momo? As Momo said this. So this is going to be the last battle between the heroes and the villains. Izuku said this. Yeah, why? As she says this, if I were to die, if you died, or if you died, well, what happens to us? Izuku says this. Momo, you don't really need to think that. I just don't. As she says this, but Izuku, if I lose you, or if you lose me, I just can't handle that. Izuku says this. don't worry, Momo. Even if I die, you'll try to keep my legacy. As she says this, as Momo said this, Izuku, both Izuku and Momo basically passionately kissed, and it's basically like midnight at the time, so it's basically like a full moon. So yeah, so while they were kissing, All Might arrives as All Might said this. Hey, Izuku, Momo, let's go. As he sees both Momo and Izuku kissing, as All Might said this. I'll just let you keep doing that. I'll just tell you later. He starts closing the door well just close the door carefully as they basically well started getting ready to wait for a sec. Sorry about that. Just let me just retry that little segment. So after kissing and after being told by All Might that they're gonna be going now to take down the League of Villains, they prepared everything. So Kirishima said this to Izuku. So the guy that I list well scarred is going to become my ally. As Mina said this, yeah. Izuku says this, yeah, I can't believe that as well. So Momo said this, I'm sorry Izuku, but are you flirting with them? Izuku says this, no Momo, as one of the girls being wait for a sec. Mina said this. Sorry, but I don't really like Izuku. I'm actually in love with somebody else. As she winks at one of the boys of class 1B, specifically Tetsu Tetsu. As Tetsu Tetsu starts blushing, Izuku says this. So you're in love with that metal boy. As she says this, yeah, he's absolutely divine in bed. Izuku starts getting sick a little bit. As Izuku says this, can't wait to fuck them up already. So when they basically started charging in at the League of Villains base, they see several Nomus appear. These Nomus are completely different. These Nomus had several several weapons on them, but most of them have a common theme. Their chests are open and they basically have a glowing beating heart, which Izuku tells them all this. Alright, everybody, the weaknesses of these Nomus are basically in the heart. We should destroy it immediately. As All Might said this. Wait, what? Izuku says this. We need to destroy the hearts of these Nomus. As All Might said this. Right, including the rest of the heroes. So, the rest of the heroes basically start ripping out the hearts of these Nomus and start destroying them. So, regular old villains and grunts basically appear as well as they start attacking the heroes. Izuku transforms into his kaiju form while fighting a villain that's basically have like a gigantification quirk. So while transformed into this gigantic kaiju form, Mount Lady sees this as Mount Lady says this. Mount Lady says this. Hey, kid, do you need some help? As Izuku says this. Whatever. Izuku uses his tails and starts transforming them into a little bit of a metal-like state. As the metal-like tail starts slashing at the gigantic villain, and the villain gets stabbed by Izuku's gigantic tails, instantly destroying him, but not killing him, destroying him mentally, because he's like 30 and he just got beaten by a 15 or something else. I can't remember. So after all of these villains being defeated, they see 0 for 1. 0 for 1. The leader of the League of Villains. The leader of the League of Villains himself. He starts transforming as well. He seems to be different. His hair seems to be pure white. When All Might sees him, well, his face has come back. His eyes, his nose, his entire facial structure was different. As All for One said this, finally, I finally got him. I finally become. Body starts transforming. He starts spawning out these large golden wings. These wings almost look like angel wings. He gets two large pitch black horns. His body is transforming to gigantic scales. As his body starts growing to a massive scale, his face starts transforming into this reptile slash fish like face. As he says this, don't call me All for One, call me Nylafatef, your brand new god. Izuku says this, what the hell happened to you? As he says this, you damn kid. You really think that I would ever be beaten by the likes of you heroes? I am now a god, and nobody shall stand in my way. He basically waves his hand, as the hand starts producing this wave of pure red energy. The energy starts creating a shockwave, as the shockwave pushes everybody away. Pushes everybody away except for Izuku. Izuku jumps around like an animal as Izuku starts charging in at the villain. As Izuku slashes chest, but the chest of All for One starts regenerating. As he says this, thanks to the experiments, well, I am now a god. Now, you dare try and touch me, your brand new god. Well then, ready to die? He starts, creating a blade made out of this weird material. This material starts slashing at Izuku. The material also seems to be, also moldable. Like, for example, All for One starts transforming it into a gigantic, throwing knife. Izuku gets stabbed by it right through the chest. Izuku starts feeling tons and tons of pain. The pain feels like several stakes in his heart. Izuku says this, dang it! How is he this powerful? As All for One teleports towards him, as he gets the stake out of his Izuku's chest, as he says this, what a weak child. Allow me to give you this. He creates a red crystal as it stabs Izuku's eye. As Izuku says this, what is this? As All for One says this, you shall be a brand new servant of mine. Now, obey. Izuku starts feeling like he's being controlled, like Izuku is not in control of himself. His mind starts racing. He starts turning enraged. Wait for a second. Izuku starts getting enraged and starts convulsing like an animal. As an animal, I mean he starts convulsing, and he starts screaming incoherently. As Izuku starts spewing out the gas and starts snapping his tails. Wait for a second. Starts snapping his tails as he creates tons and tons of explosions. The rest of the heroes start running away, including Class 1A. But Momo starts saying, "No, no, please, I must save Izuku." Well, um, Bako said this, "Momo, please stop. We're going to save Izuku later." He says this, "No, she basically throws his go back towards Izuku. She jumps on Izuku's face as she says, "Izuku, come back, please. You can fight it, please." Izuku is in his mind as Izuku sees somebody or someone, his kaiju form. As his kaiju form says this, so so you're my reincarnation. Izuku says this. Reincarnation? What are you talking about? Wait for a second. The creature says this. You are my reincarnation, are you? Izuku says this. I don't know what you're talking about. As the creature says this. Well, many years ago, there was a great kaiju war. A war between, well, the immortals and the old ones. I am one of these creatures, the immortals. I helped in that battle, but I died. Died from a special crystal. That red crystal that's basically. Izuku says this. Wait, what? That means I'm going to die? But the only way that you can still be alive and still live on is this. He basically well opens up his hand. Izuku gets on it as he basically brings Izuku to its face, the kaiju form, as he says this. So, do you want my power or not? Izuku says this. Want your power? As he says this. Yeah. That thing that you call all for one is a old one. And that is why you must use my full power. As Izuku says this. What if I refuse? As he says this. Well, you will be killed, including the rest of your friends. And that lover of yours. As Izuku says this. I accept. This. Good. He basically brings Izuku up into his horn as he starts, getting, absorbed by, his, kaiju self. As Izuku wakes up, remembering what is happening. As Momo said this, Izuku, please come back. Izuku says this, don't worry, Momo, I'm okay. As he says this, my eye. As All for One said this, how insignificant. You damn immortal. It makes me sick. Now, die! As he creates tons and tons of swords. As these swords charging in at Izuku. But Izuku dodges them. Izuku says this, Momo, please help me in this battle. As Momo said, what do you want me to do? As Izuku says this, touch my horn. As she says this, okay. She touches the horn as she gets a blueprint for a special bullet that will kill All for One. As she says this, wait, this thing? As Izuku says this, yeah, now make it immediately. And she says this, right. So she starts creating the bullet as that bullet about the size of like a nuclear warhead. As when it's finished, Izuku says this, now create a large cannon so he can shoot it down. Shoot down All for One for all. As she says this, right. So she starts creating the large cannon. As the cannon is finally complete, she basically puts it on top of Izuku's back. As Izuku says this, ready? As Momo said this, Ready. So, Momo aims the gun at All for One. As All for One says this, "You really think that a mortal gun, a normal little warhead, can ever destroy me, a old one?" Izuku says this. "Wanna bet?" As the as the cannon rings out, the 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 large bullet starts spiraling around as it shoots All for One through the head. As All for One says this, "No, no, 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 no! Why would I ever lose?" As his body starts well, starts glowing. His body starts crackling well, like glass. As when it's cracked, several 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 of the cracks start glowing a a pure golden. As he says this, "No, no, I shall not die." As he explodes fantastic colors. As Izuku transforms back, Izuku's hair turns different. Momo said this, "Izuku, your hair." Izuku says this, "What?" She points at Izuku's hair and brings a mirror and basically shows what happened to Izuku's hair. His hair is turned a pure golden. Like Izuku's now blonde. Izuku says this, "Whoa, what happened to it?" As she says this, what happened to you, it transformed your body." Izuku, "Oh, interesting." So yeah, when UA, they celebrated of the death of the number one villain, All for One. So yeah, so this is going to be the epilogue of What If Deku was had a kaiju quirk. So yeah, so let us begin. So in the epilogue, Izuku became the number one hero, and for Momo, she became the second best hero, and for Bakugo, he became the fifth best hero. So Izuku marries Momo. Momo was pretty happy with that. Izuku and Momo's child gained the it's basically like a half and half quirk. So she's able to transform into a kaiju and able to basically well gain the claws of Izuku, or at least what she perceives as wings. Yes, I mean wings. And not only that, well Momo's creation quirk is also in her. And yes, I mean her because it's a girl in this What If. Izuku and Momo's child. So yeah. So several of these hidden kaiju people, which are called the Immortals, basically came out of hiding, becoming citizens of the Hero Society. So yeah. So I hope you like this series ending. So yeah. So I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye.